All right. Well, we are going to welcome Jessica Carey to the call tonight, and I'm super excited because I know she's going to bring all the fire, and she's going to really just share with us kind of like what happened in the beginning of her journey when she first started coaching. And there was a switch that happened along the way, and she's going to talk about what that was and what it looked like. And I know it's going to just fire you guys up, so I'm super excited for her to share.
Hey guys, all right. Thank you so much for having me. So excited. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to go right to like the beginning of my story, like how it all started. I'm a mom of five. If y'all don't know, I'm a mom of five from Kansas. But when I started, it was 6 years ago. I'm actually coming up on my 6-year anniversary just in the next couple of days. I need to look. I think it's like the 9th of February. I don't know. Within this next week is my 6-year anniversary. So when I started, I only had 3 kids. I had 3 boys. And we're very heavily involved in wrestling and baseball and football. I was on all the boards. I did all the things. I was super busy, right? But I was living on diet pills and coffee, like picture perfect health coach, right? Like that's exactly where I was at. And I literally reached out to my friend from high school because I thought, you know, if I'm already losing weight with these diet pills, like what could happen? What could happen if I started working out too? You know, like that's where my mind was. So I want you to know, like the people that you think that maybe are totally off the rails, maybe not even on your radar, like it could still be possible for them, right? They don't have to be the picture perfect of health. But that's where I started. I was an overeater. I had 0 fitness experience, and I was super busy. But I reached out because I wanted to lose more weight. And so I got T25 and Shakeology, and I followed that 3-day quick fix meal plan that's in there, you know, because back then we got DVDs, right? And it came with like this meal plan. And I told my coach, I was like, well, it tells me exactly what to eat. I'm just going to follow it to a T, and we'll just see what happens. And I swear I sent her 2 or 3 messages that week that was like, I'm going to gain 15 pounds this week. I'm eating entirely too much food. Like, this is not going to work for me. The shake is too big. I feel horrible. I am bloated, blah, blah, blah. Like all the things, like dream challenger, right? And lo and behold, that first week I lost 4 pounds. And I was like, huh? Wait, like that's not how I lose weight. I lose weight by not eating. I lose weight by diet pills. I lose weight by drinking coffee all day and eating less than my kids at night. Like that's how I lose weight. And instantly that first week, everything changed for me. I was like, okay, clearly there must be a different way. So long story short, obviously I just became a believer in the whole process. I realized I was doing it wrong. Health and fitness, I felt stronger. I felt fueled. I felt better. I wasn't jittery all day, right? So I dove all in. Nobody told me to do all those things. Nobody told me to follow that meal plan. I just did it, right? I felt better, and so I just kept doing the things. She kept asking me to coach. I kept telling her no because I was too busy, but I was naturally sharing on social media, right? Like I was talking about the shake that I was drinking. I was talking about feeling good. I was talking about that I lost 4 pounds. My husband was doing it, and he felt great. And she's like, Jessica, I am not signing up one more person that you send to me. You're signing up as a coach. And so I was like, whatever. And literally that was 6 years ago. And I think I've missed 1 month of Success Club in the last 6 years. I'm now 60 months straight of Success Club. And I think the year before that, I was 11 months and I dropped 1 point in December of my first year. So literally it's been like 72 months or whatever. I've never looked back. But back up to that first program, I started T25. Remember, I went all in. I was like gung-ho. It's a 9-week program if you haven't done T25. And on week 8, I found out baby number 4 was on her way. And I feel like that was like a defining moment in my business because I could have gone like, sweet, healthy, fit pregnancy, never done that before. This is going to be amazing. Or I'm like, oh crap, I'm pregnant. It all has to stop. And guess what I chose? Oh crap, I'm pregnant. It all has to stop. Because that's all I knew, right? Like I didn't have friends that were a coach when they were pregnant. Like I didn't know anything else. And so I did. And I tell you, it all had to stop. It didn't. I still was hitting Success Club, right? I was still kind of going through the motions, but I was not even remotely plugged in on my journey, right? So baby comes, but that was like the beginning of a 2-year up and down roller coaster of never finishing a program, not having any success, to share, not feeling confident in the process, right? Like you have a baby, you're pregnant, first of all, right? And then you have a baby and that black hole you get sucked into, like it's hard, right? It's hard to like get yourself out of it. And so it was Team Cup time. And this chick, Erin Kivstad, comes into our little group, and I'm like griping and complaining about people aren't following through, and they're not doing this and they're not doing that. And I've never finished a program. And she's like, Jess, you've got to finish. Like they need to see you succeed. And it was literally right then another fork in the road for my business. I was like, duh, they need to see you succeed. Like, what have I been doing? Like, it was so simple. I like couldn't even see it, right? Like you couldn't see the forest through the trees. And so everything that I could do, like I was attracting all of these people that were quitting because I was quitting on myself, making excuses, attracting the same people that were doing the same. I had no confidence. My business was suffering. Another key point, I skipped Summit that year. And so I was getting all of these things that I was doing that I didn't even realize I was doing is what I was attracting. I was attracting people who were quitting. I was attracting people who had one toe in. I was attracting people who weren't finishing, didn't believe in the process. And then guess what? I was mad about it. I was mad. I was frustrated. This business isn't working. It's not happening, blah, 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 blah. And it was all everybody else's fault when really it was just me projecting what I was doing on everyone else. And that's what I was attracting, right? So I feel like I said, that was a turning point for my business. But I want to like add a little caveat here. Like it's okay to struggle, right? Like it's okay to fall off a little bit. It's okay to like eat all the junk food and that's okay. And it's okay to share those things and be real and authentic, but you've got to win it, you guys. You've got to spin it and win it. Otherwise, ain't nobody want to join your struggle bus, okay? They want to join somebody who has been there, done that, and came out on the other side, okay? So you've got to show the other side. So share authentically. Share that you ate all the things. Share the dessert. Share the struggle, but share how you're going to win it and then actually do it, okay? So that brings us to like January 2016. I'm all in. I'm working out. I'm like completing program after program. I decide that I'm going to work out every single day until the cruise that I earned. And I did. And I completed T25. I had to go back and redeem myself. I completed T25. I went on the cruise. And that's where my business shifted because I believed it. I felt confident. I was consistent. I became a resident expert. And that's something you guys need to think about. Like in my life, I know how to be a mom, and I know how to be a mom who puts herself on her list. I know how to, cook for my family. Those things are mine, and I have become an expert in those things, and I can present myself as that, right? And so you have to do something over and over and over and over again until you're like, I could tell you how to do this in my sleep. So you have to stay so consistent on whatever it is that's in your life that you're good at so that you can present with confidence those things, okay? Another thing, I went on that cruise, and then I went to Summit. This all happened in 2016, right? So I went to Summit, connected with these amazing ladies, like face to face, like in a room with them all day, or the whole weekend. And I earned another Success Club trip. Plus, I earned a spot at our leadership retreat with Melanie. This happened, guys. I was an Emerald for 2 years. Remember that roller coaster? I was an Emerald that whole time, 2 years. In that year, in 2016, when I decided I was going to finish a program from start to finish, I went on the cruise in March as an Emerald. I hit Diamond in May after the cruise. I earned the leadership retreat and went to it in October. I ended the year a 2-star qualifying coach. From Emerald to 2-star in 1 year, all because 100% I went in on my own journey, 100%, because I believed it. I felt it. I breathed it. I lived it. Now, that's not to say there weren't bumps and bruises and failures along the way, because on Christmas Eve in 2016, I lost 2-star by 15 PV points. Yay! And so that was, I mean, that's not to say it was all rainbows and unicorns, right? It like, there's still going to be crappy parts. But that was another defining moment in my business. It's so funny that we can always look back, right, and be like, oh my gosh, that sucked so bad. But now I get why I went through that, right? Like, now I get it. And so I dropped that 2-star qualification, ended the year 1-star. And so in 2017, I had a decision, right? I'm like, okay, well, that really sucked. Don't want to do that again. Or, man, that sucked, but I learned so much, I'm going to do it different. Guess which one I chose? That really sucked. I'm not going to do that again. And so in 2017, I didn't rank advance. I was just like, meh, nope, count me out. I'm just going to hang out. I'm good. And I just hit cruise control. I'm telling you guys all of this because, like, you get to decide what you're going to do. At any point in that year, I could have decided, no, like, that's silly. It's not going to happen again. You do it differently, right? But I didn't. I decided just to cruise. And so I just cruised through that year. I still hit Success Club, right? I still did all the things. I still went to summits, still earned the trip, still went to leadership retreats. But I ended 2017 with nothing different, right? Then I started. And so 2018 came and I was like, okay, well, that sucked. I don't want to do that again, or I'm going to do something different. And so 2018 was the year that was like, okay, you went all in on your fitness like back then, all you had to do was zero in on your journey, and it changed everything. So what if you took all of those principles and applied them to your business, Jessica? Like, like staying consistent, trusting the process, showing up no matter what, showing people that I can win. People needed to see me win. And so I went all in on my business and my fitness at the same time. And we ended the year 3-star premier. And I can say that because, like, I won it. I went through all the crap. I did the wrong things. I failed. I did, I could have quit at any time, but I decided it had to be different. And so I did something different to create a different outcome. Okay. So I feel like if you kind of sort of try, and y'all have heard this before, right? Like, you kind of sort of try, you're going to kind of sort of get results. And I can tell you that 100%. Don't think that you're special enough to eliminate a vital behavior and still just make it work. Like, don't really need to do that. That's not how it works. Okay. That's not how it works. And not only like one vital behavior, like a piece of the puzzle. Like, you don't get to skip Shakeology, y'all. Don't care who you are. You don't get to skip Shakeology, because you are going to attract somebody who also skips Shakeology, who also has a toe in, who also doesn't get result, isn't completely committed. And you're going to create this spiral effect. And guess what? You're just going to be pissed off at the end. And that does nothing for you. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your people. It doesn't serve your business. It doesn't serve your challengers. You have to be all in. And my gosh, what a freaking blessing that is, to be all in on your own health and fitness, and your business grows from that. Like, right? Like, that is such a blessing. So just hone in on that. Find a program that rocks your world, that you are excited to do every morning. Right? Like, if you're bored with your food, get excited, make a cooking show, do something, find recipes, get excited about your journey, and people will feel that, you guys. A power plant does not have energy. It creates it. And so if you want your business to grow, you've got to create that energy within your business, whether that's with your program, whether that's with your nutrition, whether that's with recruiting or sneak peeks, like any of those things. You have to create the energy within it. It's not just going to happen. It's not just going to come. And I remember Melanie telling me that you start to get this momentum, and it's like a flywheel that just starts to catch and just starts to go. And I was like, okay, just a flywheel, just get catch. But it's true. You start creating this momentum, and it's like a freaking freight train, right? Like, it's hard to stop. It's hard to stop. And I'm walking, living, breathing proof of that you create that energy, you create that momentum, and your business will grow, but you have to keep it up. Like, you can't just be like autopilot. Like, that never works. Believe me, that never works. There is no autopilot. So go all in areas and go all in all areas, you know, guys, it's so simple. It's so simple. The company tells you what to do. This is it. I don't care where you're at in your business. This is it. This is all you have to do every single day. Sit down, do your workout, drink your Shakeology, share about it, and then do the things on the list. It doesn't matter where you're at in your business. I don't care if you started yesterday or if you have been in this business for 8 years. This is what you do to move yourself forward. And you do it with intention, right? Like you do it with thought and process and heart and energy, and you make it your own, you guys. Listen, Melanie asked me to speak on the Rising Stars call next week, and I was like, hey, why don't I just teach everyone how to do a Triller? Because that's really kind of what I'm good at. So can we just like have a dance party? And she was like, but like I create the joy in my business. I don't care if anybody else gets it. I am so much more authentically me. Like I will see memories pop up of videos I did. And listen, I was doing my best. We're all doing our best, right? But I will see old videos come up of like just whatever lives or things I did. And I was so afraid to be myself. I can just see it. I can feel it. I'm like, God, that's not me. Why would, you know? So just dig down and find out who you are. How do you talk to your friends when it's just you guys? Like, how would you talk to someone if they were in your living room, you know, just chit chatting? Like, be so authentically you. You want people to feel that, because I know I'm on the right track when I get messages that are like, I don't know what you're on, but I need some of it. I'm like, yep. Gotcha. Like, let's go. You know, like I want people to feel my energy. I want people to get to know me. I want people to like me. I want people to trust me. And the only way you're going to do that is when you're 100% authentic to you and your beliefs and your joy and your energy. And you just share that with others, because people want to be a part of something like that. They want to be a part of something bigger. And you've got to be the person that can be that bridge for them, you know? I told you I drank Energized before this, and I did because I zipped through everything. That's all my notes. So I hope somebody has questions, because that's all I got. I'm sweating.
No, I love that. I love everything that you shared. I mean, I don't know any of us on this call that can't relate to some part of that, if not all of that. And I think too, like, you know, Jess, like for you, okay, someone looking at you going, oh my gosh, she's got 5 freaking kids. I know your husband travels. I know you're involved in a lot of traveling sports and you have a lot on your plate. How do you keep it so positive and keep your energy, besides energized? But, you know, how do you know, because we all have those moments where we're like, we feel like we have nothing to give, or we feel like, oh my gosh, I want to be here and I'm here. You know, how do you get yourself to where
you know, so listen, like I said, you think you can just omit a vital behavior. You can't. So you need personal development in your life, first of all. Like, you think you can just skip out on that? You can't, you guys. Those negative thoughts are there for everyone. I go through it. Listen, week before my period, I'm going to quit coaching. Like every month, I'm like, this is dumb. It's over. Ain't nothing happening. And so if you think you're the only one going through it, you're silly. Get yourself a success pod, gripe together for that week, and then pull each other out of it. Like, hopefully you don't sync up too much to where somebody's like, no, we're fine. Everybody's fine. Nobody's quitting. Because it happens to all of us. But so I don't always stay positive. First of all, we should say that I don't always stay positive, but I know at the end of the day, like, what's the freaking alternative? You guys, you're just going to quit. You're just going to quit. You stop working out, stop eating healthy. Like, no, stop it. Shut up. Like, move on. Pull on your big girl panties. Like, what other job do you have that's going to get you, like, hooked up with amazing women every day and, like, working out and spreading positivity and love and joy and making friends and pumping content out there that, like, adds value to people's life? Like, oh, yeah, that sucks. You should probably quit. Like, stop, right? Like, that's what brings me back. Or, like, if I gripe to Luke, like, this isn't happening and I can't do this and this, blah, blah, blah. He's like, Jess, like, you were a stay-at-home mom making no money before this. Like, what, you know, like, you're fine. You're doing fine. You know, it doesn't mean you can't, you know, grow and still go after your goals. And that's hard for me because I'm like a dreamer and I'm a creator. And if I'm not like growing and, you know, things aren't happening, I feel like I'm dying. But that's not true. You're not dying. In fact, you're still living and you still have a lot more to give people. So I think you just have to kind of, at the end of the day, like slap yourself or have somebody else slap you. Just back to like what a blessing this is. Find your joy in this business, like whatever it is. If that's talking to your girls, if that's, going live in your challenge group, if that's getting on stories, like whatever it is that gives you joy, do more of that. Do a lot more of that.
I have a question for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Just about attracting your people. Talk about, people get hung up on what are their things, what are the things that are uniquely them. Mm-hmm. And I always say, like, I love watching your stories. I love watching all that you do. You attract a different audience than I attract. I mean, our people are different people. And I think that's really important for people to understand.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it just comes down to being 100% authentically you. And you know, what's funny is, when my team gets together, like I can I'm a pretty self-aware person. I might act really like spontaneous and impulsive, but like I can step back and really see, like, look at all of my coaches. I'm like, oh, that's the part of me that likes to argue. Like, oh, that's the part of me who thinks she's always right. Like, I can see it in each of my coaches, because that's just what you do. You attract yourself. And that's what you should want to, like, be in one big bed and snuggling with your team because you're so close to them, like, them, and they're like a part of you because you've attracted a bunch of people who are, just like you. And the only way you're going to do that is when you're just authentically who you are and not trying to put this coach hat on, right? And not trying to be like, oh, well, Erin runs marathons, so I should run a marathon because I want to be a good coach like Erin. Like, no, I don't run. Although I did tell her I might do a Spartan, so I don't know what's happening there. I feel like she influenced me. I don't know. You're an influencer, Erin. So then there's that. But I think you're just being authentically you. And I think, and you know what's funny is it's hard to be yourself. Isn't that weird? It's hard to put yourself out there over and over and over again. And so sometimes we're like, okay, today I have no F's to give. I'm just being me. I don't care. And then the next day when you haven't recruited any coaches, you're like, well, that didn't work. Back to square one, and you can't do that. You got to find your lane and like carve it out. Nobody understood my dance parties at first. Nobody got it. Nobody was tagging me. Like, none of that was happening. But now people are like, okay, we get this thing. And like, now it's a thing. And it's so silly that's the thing, but it is. And it has been for a long time. And I think you just kind of have to find your lane and carve it out. Oh, also, don't be afraid to ask. Ask your followers what they want to see from you. Ask them, do you want to see more fitness, more nutrition, more family life? Like, they'll tell you. They'll tell you exactly what they want from you. And you just find your way to give it to them in your own way, I don't really love talking about nutrition. I don't really love talking about cooking for my family. Although I think it's just because I don't think about it much, kind of like Erin, like we just get it done, right? Like you just do it, but people want to know those things and they want to know like the food. And so I'm talking about food a lot more than I would probably care to, but that's what people want from me, so I give it to them in my own way. I don't know if that answered the question at all.
So Jess, do you do anything with your team where if you have people that are, they just haven't spent a lot of time maybe in personal development, they have past histories, which all of us do, where they were put down or whatever their story may be, not bringing that into this business, how do you direct your team to kind of find their pillars, if you will, like identifying who they are? Because although that might be easier for some people, it can be really difficult for others. And there's sometimes this belief that, well, then I'm probably not a very good coach if I can't even identify. And like, that's not true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody can be a good coach, but how do you direct your team if they're struggling with kind of who am I and what should I post about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard and it's going to be so individual. We've done the list of like 10 things that make you weird, 10 things that make you laugh, 10 things that make you cry, 10, and you just have this like master list of like, that's who you are, right? Like you may not even know it, but that's who you are. Like, don't put yourself, and my team does struggle with that because there's a lot of girls that don't want to do dance parties, that this is not their jam, right? And so, but they see me and they're like, oh, do I have to be in this box? No, you don't at all, right? Like, in fact, you look weird when that's not your box and you're in it. So don't do, you know what I mean? Like, don't try to shove a square peg in a round hole or vice versa, right? So I think just really digging in, like, if that's what you're struggling with, that should be your focus on personal development, right? Like, that should be your you know, work, your self-work. Like, that's your self-care. That's what the podcast you're listening to, like, whatever it is, you know, that brings you joy. For me, like, that's where I live. I like to live in a frequency of joy and happiness and enthusiasm and energy. But some people like calm and peace. And you know what I mean? So, like, you just have to know yourself enough. You know, maybe the Enneagram could really help. I've found a lot of insight, but more like confirmation, like, okay, yeah, that's totally who I am and that's okay, kind of thing. So maybe the Enneagram would be a good place to start. Take the good test. Don't just take the stupid one. I paid $12 and it was like a 125 question test, and I don't like taking tests, and it was not the funnest thing, but I loved having like a good result. And now anytime I, you know, see Enneagram stuff, I can look up, like, you know, my Enneagram. I'm a 7, BT dubs, in case anybody is surprised. Wing 6. What we got? 9. Yeah. So I would say that. I don't know. I have found the most confirmation and, like, you know, just things that make me tick through that in the last year, you know, than I have probably through anything else.
Cool.
Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Bethann. Anybody can unmute. What you got? What you got? Good stuff.
You know what? I totally love your energy.
Oh, thank
And
you.
it's 9:30 for me. It's still kind of early for us East Coasters. But your energy, it was so nice to see you at Summit.
Yeah.
To hear what you're saying. And it's like totally hitting the nail on the head. And I was kicking booty today. Erin should be proud of me. I sent out 14 invitations today.
Boom.
So.
And can I tell you, it's so much easier to do it in like big spurts like that. You know, of course, I want everyone to sit down and work every single day, but I would be lying if I said I invited every single day. Sometimes I feel it and I'm like 30, boom, 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 boom. And other days, if I don't feel it, I'm like, it's okay. I send 30. You know what I mean? Like, so that's totally okay. And if you're going to send 5, you might as well send 10. And if you're going to send 10, send 15. Like, that is where momentum starts to work, right? And you're like, after you get 6 out, you're like, whatever, here we go. Like, let's do it. I already ripped the Band-Aid off. Might as well, go with it. So I love that. Good job.
And the fun part of doing that is it's all the conversations that it starts. You see it instantly. You send out 10 invites.
Yeah.
Start having conversations.
Yeah.
And you can't get customers if you don't have conversations going.
Yep. Yeah. And creating content that creates conversations is huge, right? So, like, whatever it is, just, through your stories, whether that's polls or whatever, just to get some conversations going. Rachel Mitchell shared an invite with me the other day that said something about, like, hey, I don't think we've met on here yet, but I'm Jess. Like, thanks for following along. How are you? Like, so simple. Everyone is responding to it. And I'm like, man, so many messages. Stop it. Like, I wasn't even expecting it because, sometimes messages, they just go or they see them, but they go unanswered, right? But that one's really working. So find something that's in your voice that is simple and just totally you, that starts a conversation, and just crank some of those out each day. Just find your groove, something that works. But you're never going to find your groove if you stop. That's the thing. You can't fix what you're not doing, right? So, like, if you're not inviting and you're like, oh, I can't get anybody, well, you're not inviting. Well, the invite I sent didn't work. Well, how many did you send? Well, I did a couple the other day. Okay, we can't fix what we don't know, right? So you've got to be tracking. You've got to be inviting. And if your invite's not working, that's okay. That's something to work on, right? Like, but if you're not doing anything, we have nothing to work on. So don't be afraid to reach out to your coach and be like, hey, this is what I'm sending. It's not working. What am I doing wrong? Like, we're so afraid to either send an invite and get told no, or like ask for criticism. I am daily, weekly saying, Melanie, my Instagram sucks. Help me. And she's like, and she gives me different things. I don't even always do them. Here, listen, I'm a bad coach too. But you have to be willing to ask for criticism. You have to be willing to change things. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and fail over and over and over again, because that's the only road to success, is through multiple failures. Because you guys, guess what? We are all gonna suck at some point coming up in the near future, and we're gonna live to tell about it, okay? It's okay. It's okay to fail. Don't be afraid of it. Like, I remember I was talking to a new coach the other day, and she's like, I don't know, I'm afraid nobody's going to say yes. I'm afraid I'm not going to have anybody in my group. And I was like, okay, Mallory, you don't have anyone in your group right now. She's like, yeah. I was like, and you're fine. So if they don't join your group, we're going to be fine. Like, it's okay. You know, like, what are we afraid of? We're not, you know, we let fear hold us back more than anything. And you guys, we're just spreading joy. We're telling people, hey, you rock. You'd be amazing on my team. Like, let's do the thing. You're amazing. I think you would love this. Like, we're not like selling candles, you know? Like, we're doing some pretty amazing things in these groups. And you could literally be answering someone's prayer by sending a message. Like, you never know the struggle that people are having. And you could literally be changing their life. And you, on the flip side of that, are keeping someone from the biggest blessing that they could possibly have by sitting on that invite because you're too afraid. So sit on that for a hot minute. It's your fault they're still on their blood pressure medicine. How's that feel? Right? So just get out of your own dang way. It's not about you. It never is. The end result is not about Success Club points, right? What's the end result about? Like, helping people. So quit being selfish, get out of the way, and go bless some people. Like, that's what we're here for, you know? Is there a question in that?
I have a question. So you were talking about like the bombarding of like messages and being like, oh my God, stop. Sometimes I will get shocked. I'm like, oh my God, this is working. And then I get all these people and I'm like, I don't know how to answer them all. Oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And I sometimes I like shut down and I get my own clamshell and I'm like, did I just lose like this big opportunity? And that's
okay. So what I do, and this is what I tell my new coaches to do. Don't answer right away. First of all, don't be like, 10 messages, blah, blah. Like, just put your phone away, breathe. Like, what's your end goal here? It's to help them, right? So they're just people. They're just people on the other end. You reached out, they answered back. Start a conversation. Ask them how they're, depending on what the initial invite was, I just start asking questions like, hey, thanks for reaching out. Like, what are you looking to accomplish? And you just start asking one question at a time, and you're gathering information at the same time, right? Like, you're getting their goals and what they've done and what types of exercises they like and how their nutrition is and, what's worked for them in the past, what hasn't, what do they see, where do they see themselves in a couple of years? Like, I literally ask so many questions to where people are kind of like, so like, do you have groups? Like, they start to ask me because I'm asking so many questions, just gathering information. Because in the beginning, and we all did the, I have a group and you get Shakeology and all the meal plans, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, okay, so, right, and then they're gone. So just one question at a time. Reply to their response, tell them that you understand, ask them another question. Reply. And listen, it's a slower process, right? Like, you're not going to sell a challenge pack in 2 messages, typically. Sometimes you do. But it's a slower process. But that's how people get invested. And the more times you can get them to say yes, the more times you can get them to answer a question and tell you why they need it, they're going to be ready. Like, at the end, when you're like, oh, well, I got this thing. Like, let's do it. They're going to be like, yes, you just gave me everything I asked you for.
Okay, so just eventually it's kind of like leading into pulling the trigger is almost them letting them open the door.
Yeah, for sure. Because it never fails when I'm like, oh, I hope you had a great birthday. They're like, thanks. Oh my gosh, you look great. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, thank you so much. Like, how you been? Oh my gosh, I can't get back to the gym. Like, they just like blah it all over me.
And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah,
they're just ready.
I'm like, should I ask them? Like, okay, I'm going to ask this person. But sometimes when it goes like 0 to 30 and no one talks back after we just had this full like diary of like.
You know what you do? You send him the Forrest Gump waving GIF. That's what I do. Or like, there's like a Jim Carrey one. He's like, "You there?"
Yeah.
I do that sometimes.
Okay.
Yes, I wanted to tell you really quick, the call's about to end.
Okay.
So I didn't want to cut you off and then it disappeared. But thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate
You're welcome.
it. I really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
And